welcome, welcome. As you join the room, let's have available to us what we need during our practice. Thinking about self-responsibility for self-care. Do you need props to bring the earth up towards you? Do you need to have blankets to protect joints when you're on the earth? Do you want a wall available for balance, or a chair or a table, or the end of the bed or sofa? You're not necessarily trying to come into your perfect idea of what a pose looks like. What you want to do is feel in your body the experience that you have. So if your experience doesn't feel affirming or powerful to you, but it feels as if you're pushing yourself too far, you feel insecure or lacking in confidence in the pose, then think about how you can adjust that pose, what you can use around you so that you come into more confidence in your physical self as you hold a pose. The practice of yoga is coming out of the body and into the depths of our consciousness. So if we get caught up in what, if we have discomfort or experience insecurity or instability in our pose, we're going to get caught up in that. Our mind will get caught up in that. Our body will be focusing on that. We want to use the body as a vehicle into the consciousness, into the sense of where you can reach a place of peace, of power, of calm, of tranquility. So we focus, so when we kind of talk about feeling it in your body, it's only so that you can feel the experience of comfort, of ease, of confidence, of effortless flow in your body. And if it doesn't feel like that, think about what you can do. Your breath might be able to help you. Adjusting the pose might be able to help you. So have available what you need. Many of you now have been practicing me for some time, and you know that I'm not a super flexible, bendy, strong yogi. Because for me, the physical practice isn't about perfection. My physical practice is something that I enjoy, that I feel affirmed and validated within. And I feel confident that I am always working with my body rather than against my body. And if I fall off and I wobble, I just pull myself back in. That is the art of forgiveness, the art of being compassionate to the self. We try something, it might work, it might not work for us. Does it mean that we have to keep punishing ourselves by continuing to practice something that clearly isn't something that feels good for our body? So often, I'm going to, you've got me started now. So when you see on social media, and I see this a lot, you see if someone's posted a photograph of themselves in a pose in 2019. And then a year later in 2020, they're suddenly in this like a marvelous gymnastic variation of that same pose. And the impression they gave is that if you keep practicing, you will go from here to here in a year. And that's not yoga. That is just when they were first practicing, they probably have a very flexible, strong, supple body with many advantages that come with having, you know, all of those benefits to a body that moves well and moves with ease into any shape it wants to go in. That first photograph is probably the very first time they've done that pose. All they've done during that time is perfect the technique, but their body has always been able to do that with technique. Some of us, no matter how much technique we employ, our body will never do that. So don't let those kind of things discourage you if you don't notice progression, if you don't notice, well, you know, I still can't touch my toes. And I've been practicing yoga for 10 years. What's going on? How am I failing in that? You're not. You don't reach bliss or expansion of the mind or self-realization or self-actualization just because you can touch your toes. God, the divine, isn't in your toes. So don't ever worry about not being able to do something and not looking like something. It's out of the window with us. Okay, lecture over. Sat Sri Akal. So this morning I'm going to be using Gurmukhi, the language of the Sikhs, the language that is native to the people of the Punjab. So Gurmukhi is the ancient language in which much of the sacred work in Sikhism is written, and the modern variation of that language is Punjabi. That's the living language. Sanskrit, which is the language most often used in yoga, but not the only language for yoga, but it's become the most popular expression of it, has evolved into Hindi. So these are just two languages in a land that has like 300 plus languages, maybe even more. I'm just saying that from kind of like my last time I remember seeing how many languages that were spoken in India. So coming into your easy pose, legs crossed, spine long. Begin to close your eyes or turn inward. So removing this sense of sight, this external outer sense of sight, to the inner sight, insight. Hands resting on your knees, palms face down, perhaps thumb and index connected. Begin to connect with the rise and fall of your breath. Notice the sensation of the in-breath lifts you, elevates you. Notice the sensation of the out-breath, where you sense a falling, a grounding, a centering. Inhaling to rise. Exhaling, the breath falling. Connect with this three-part breath, ensuring that your breath is long, drawn down into the abdomen. Rising and falling. Our practice today is a practice of resistance. Resist and rise. A practice to honor people's movements throughout history, all over the globe. Movements for justice, movements for representation, movements for inclusion. A groundswell of uprisings when oppression becomes too much to bear, when the strength of power of feeling becomes an irrepressible call for action. Rise and fall with your breath. It's conscious awareness of the breath as your tool to resource you, to connect you to a sense of grounding and centering within your own identity, but also a sense of connection with the upsurge of expression, the manifestation of people's power. Inhaling, bring your hands into prayer, namaskar at the heart. I'm going to open by chanting Satnam Vaheguru. Satnam Vaheguru. Satnam, one truth. Vaheguru, an expression of gratitude to the light, the awareness, the understanding brought to us. Once we uncover and see that truth, this is a sacred prayer for the Sikhs. Inhale fully. Satnam Vaheguru. Satnam Vaheguru. Satnam Vaheguru. Hands to your eyebrow center. Sat Sri Akal. Sat Sri Akal. Sat Sri Akal. Welcome to all. Welcome to your inner truth, the divine truth. Our mudra for today, the hand gestures for expressing our energy in our practice is called Mushti Mudra. So Mushti Mudra, we take with both hands, fold in the fingers, all the fingers. The thumbs can be on the outside, folded on the outside, or the thumbs can be folded on the inside of your fingers. So thumbs can be on the outside or on the inside, so that you create this fist of power. And you'll know that this fist has been used amongst people's movements around the globe, across cultures. This is the Mushti Mudra, the universal symbol of power, of people's power. And the mantra we're going to continue using during our practice is Satnam Vaheguru. Do not confuse this with a Kundalini practice. This is not a Kundalini practice. This is not a practice associated with Aquarian Kundalini, which I have a whole other conversation about. But this is not that. Take a moment here. Inhale, open out your arms. As you exhale, hug them into the sides, fists face up. Inhale, arms out. Exhale, in to the ribs. So let's open, exhale. Inhale, exhale. Inhale, exhale. Inhale, exhale. Take a moment here. Now let's reach up. Hug them in again. Take the breath with you. Inhale to reach up. Jai breath or victory breath. Loud breath as you breathe in and out, and your arms are going to be feeling it. So our practice today is really connected with this transformative fire at the core, the Manipur. Put some power into it. One more, hold up your arms, hold up your arms. Hands together, Satnam Vaheguru, Vaheguru. Inhale, open out your arms. We're going to come into Garudasana, eagle arms. Let's bring in the arms, cross the right elbow over the left elbow. And you can have the backs of your hands together or your left fingertips on your right palm. Inhale, reach up with your hands. As you exhale, let's turn over to the left. Inhale to center. Exhale to the right. Inhale to center. 3 times, so twice more. Inhaling to the center and exhaling to the side. You'll know that I'm going to lose count, so you're responsible for your own count. And then back to center. Take a moment there. Lift your fingertips up towards the sky. Exhale, fold down towards the earth. Maintain the connection between your seat and the earth. Tuck in your chin. Our practice today in particular is to show gratitude to the courage and bravery of others to stand up for the rights of those who are marginalized, who are powerless, who are excluded. Whether it's protesting about the laying of oil pipes through ancestral lands, whether it's protesting about the racial oppression of groups of people based on the color of their skin, whether it is rising up to protest against arcane laws banning abortion or repressing LGBTQI rights, whether it's the land rights in India, wherever you are in the world, the Rohingya people, the Uyghur people, people around the world who are suppressed seemingly without power. Inhale, back to center, open out your arms, and then now let's cross the left arm over the right, and again, wrap your arms around, so backs of hands together or right fingertips on your left palm. Lift your fingertips so that your elbows are parallel to your shoulders. If this feels too uncomfortable, you can bring your hands to your shoulders. Exhaling to the left. Inhale to center. So we're going to go 3 times. Inhaling to center, exhaling to the side. We're not messing around today, people. We're on a mission. Exhale to fold. So connect with the movements that most resonate with you. The people's movements that most connect with either your belief systems or the land that you come from or the people from whose culture you are descended. Inhale, rise to center. Open out your arms. Take a moment. Let's place them on the fingertips on the earth behind us. Open up the heart. Lift the gaze, expanding, rising here. Feel the resistance of the earth below you. The earth can support you to rise up. So I'm pressing into the earth, and this helps me to lift. Tuck your chin. Bring your hands around to the front. Let's uncross our legs. Come onto our knees. Into table Brahmanasana. Toes untucked for the moment. Let's lift our gaze. So start the movement at the tailbone, dip your lower back, shine your heart, lift your gaze. As you exhale, round through, tuck your chin. And now let's tuck our toes on this shining and lifting. Exhale to round. Untuck your toes for the next round of Madhyasana, Bitlyasana. And tuck your toes. And tuck your toes. So we're going to do one more cycle with the toes tucked. And then let's come back to neutral here. Let's take our knees as wide as the mat, big toes touch. Bring your left hand underneath your heart. Take your Mushti Mudra in your right hand, power up towards the sky. Exhale, thread that right arm underneath you, right shoulder to the earth. Inhale to lift. Exhale to thread and come into this twisted variation of table. We'll do this 3 times. Have purpose, intent in what you do. On the last one, let's hold it up. Hold it up. Connect with your power. Remember, your thumb can be on the inside or the outside. Exhale, right hand to the earth underneath your heart space. Inhale, power. Mushti Mudra to the left. Exhale, thread that left arm underneath left shoulder. And here, come to the mat. And then let's power through 3 times before holding up the Mushti Mudra to the sky. And I'm going to do one more. So you're bending into your right elbow as you bring your head, and ear and shoulders to the mat. Hold up. Exhale. Hands wider. Bring your knees back into alignment. Now we're going to move into a plank pose. Phalakasana. Now your option can be slide your knees away. So you keep your knees on the earth. And you keep your toes tucked or untucked. Or you can lift your knees. Yogi's choice here. Whatever feels comfortable for you. So if your knees are on the earth, lift your toes, cross your ankles. See how that feels for you. Feel the power through your arms. So just lifting the ankles here will shift the weight a little bit so you have the same sensation as those in the extended Phalakasana with the knees lifted. Push the earth away. One breath here. Now, I'm going to invite you to bring your Mushti Mudra to the earth. So folding your fingers so that you're on your fists here. So again, you can have your knees, your feet can be on the earth. You can have your ankles crossed. That's one option. Or you can be in Phalakasana here. And your arms are going to be feeling it now. Wherever you are, engage your core. Draw that navel in towards your spine. This is your Uddiyana band, the lock at the center, the Manipur chakra. One more breath here. I know you've been here for ages. And everybody bring your knees down. Come back into child's pose. Arms extended, fingers unfolded, perhaps spread wide. Eyebrows center on the earth or on the cushion. Let's take Ujjayi breath, victory breath. Ujjayi breath is that ocean sounding breath with a constriction at the back of the throat. So when you breathe in, you hear a sort of a sound of the breath, as if it sounds like you've got your shell to your ear. And when you exhale, there's a very audible ha sound. So the inhale might sound softer, but the exhale is much more audible. You sound like Darth Vader. It's like fogging up a mirror, that kind of breath you take. Everybody is here in child's pose, Balasana. Take a moment, lift your gaze, come back onto your hands and knees here. Take a moment here. Tuck your toes. And then let's rise up into mountain, Parvatasana. And pedal your feet here. Sway your hips. And then come into stillness. Now your fingers are probably spread wide on the mat. I invite you to come into Mushti Mudra here and see how that feels. Mushti Mudra, so you're on your fist here. If you've got your rings on, it might hurt a bit, so maybe take your rings off. See how this feels as an experience. If this feels too much for you, you can place your hands on the earth. Remember, you can also use blocks here. So the blocks help you to come into your mountain pose. And then you might find that it's easier to put your hands on blocks because they're a little bit higher. Yogi's choice. Strong here like a mountain. Parvatasana is mountain pose. And when we fold in these 5 fingers, each of the 5 fingers connects to the 5 elements. They connect to qualities of generosity, of having morality, a sense of ethics, patience, effort, and concentration. These are all of the qualities that you need to be a warrior, a social justice activist, warrior. One more breath here in your Parvatasana with Mushti Mudra, and then release your fingers and either jump or walk to the top of your mat, coming into forward fold here, Uttanasana. Allow your head to hang heavy, shoulders to relax, fingers to soften here, especially after you've been in Mushti Mudra. You might find that your knuckles are feeling a bit warm because we don't often put our knuckles on the earth, do we? One here. Let's walk our hands over to the left so that you experience a twist. You can have a deep bend in your knees here, or you can have a soft bend in your knees. Inhale to center, all the way over to the right. So sense the resistance in your body. And you can feel that when you resist, it is as if 2 oppositional forces are coming together. And it's that tension between those forces. And that is how you resist abuse of power or misuse of power. Power that is hierarchical in nature, that is power rooted in supremacy of any kind of supremacy, whether it's male supremacy, religious supremacy, race supremacy, can feel suffocating, oppressive. So it's that force of power that bears down upon those of us who may feel oppressed. Inhale back to center, sorry, and let's walk over to the left. See, I get a bit distracted with my talk. We should just call this yoga talks rather than yoga practice. And again, back to center. So just move from left to right through center a couple of times. And then when you reach center next time, bend into your knees, have your fingertips on the earth. So bend as much as you need to bring your fingertips to the earth. Remember, you can use blocks here. So I usually have my footstool at the top of my mat. So you might have your blocks here on any setting that you wish to have them on. So you remember there's lots of settings, or you can have books here. So as you bend into your knees, roll onto the balls of your toes and crouch down. As you exhale, roll through your feet, coming back into Uttanasana. And now let's move into halfway lift. So your hands can be on your shins, fingertips on the earth, or fingertips on your blocks. Bend into your knees, rise into chair pose, Utkatasana. Have your Mushti Mudra here. Tailbone reaching back. Now your arms can be alongside your ears, or you can have them parallel. Exhale, hug them in to the side of your ribs. Inhale to reach up or out. Exhale, hug them in. Imagine you have a block between your thighs or your knees here that will maintain this tension in your thighs. Inhale to reach out or up. Exhale to hug in. Twice more. And then let's straighten through our legs, reaching up. Exhale, hands to heart center. Take a moment here. Satnam Vaheguru. Satnam, Satnam, Satnam Ji. One breath here. And now we're going to do that whole thing again. So reach up with your Mushti Mudra. Exhale, fold down towards the earth. Uttanasana. Hands can rest on your blocks or on the earth. And now we're going to roll onto the balls of our feet and lower ourselves down into a crouch. Inhale, lift your tailbone, roll back onto your feet. Inhale, halfway lift. Ardha Uttanasana. Exhale to fold. And now bend into your knees to rise up into chair pose, Utkatasana. Strong pose. Exhale, tuck in your elbows. Inhale to reach up or out. Because it all depends on how your shoulders are. So for me, I do have some upper back and shoulder issues. Exhale, hug in the elbows. Inhale to reach out or up. One more time. And now let's straighten up. Coming into standing mountain. Exhale, hands to your heart. Satnam Vaheguru. So remember, there is truth in powerful movements. The truth of the ordinary citizen. The truth of those who have not been heard or seen. So I'm just going to fiddle around and get my rings back up on my finger. One breath here. Inhale, moving into sun salutations with Mushti Mudra. Forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift. Fists can be on the earth, your Mushti Mudra, or on your blocks. And then let's step back, right leg. Coming onto the ball of that right leg. Take a moment here. So I have my Mushti Mudra here. If you wish to bring your right knee to the earth, feel free to do that. Inhale. Rise up. Reach up with your Mushti Mudra. As you exhale, straighten through that knee. Sorry, as you inhale, straighten through that knee. Let me just find my balance. There we go. Exhale, bend into your knees, hug in your elbows, lower down towards the earth. So if you have your knee on the earth, you're mainly moving with your arms. You might be sinking into your hips a little bit deeper and then straightening out through your hips here. So reaching in and out of your hips here. So let's move with our breath. Got a bit much of, I like to use almond oil on my body. So my foot is a little slippery on my mat today. Inhaling to rise up. Exhaling, hugging your power fist, your Mushti Mudra. One more here, then hold up. Take a moment here. Rotate that right heel onto the earth, bend into your left knee. Open out your arms into Warrior Two, Mahavirabhadrasana. Reaching out across. So your right heel is on the earth. Your right foot is at a slight angle. Bend into your left knee. Open across your heart, your Mushti Mudra. Now your Mushti Mudra can be face down or to the side. See how it feels for your shoulders. Just about what experience you're having. You want to feel powerful here. You don't want to be like thinking, oh, this is getting a bit tiring. This feels uncomfortable in my shoulders. If it begins to feel really tiring for you, you can always hug your elbows in. One here. Keep bending into that knee. Mahavirabrasana, the great warrior. One more breath here. Let's cartwheel the right hand and left hand down towards the earth. Step back with your left foot, coming into plank, Ardha Phalakasana or Phalakasana here. One breath here. Now your choice, yogis. We can Ashtanga Asana or Chaturanga Dandasana to the earth. So Ashtanga Asana is knees, untucked toes, chest and chin to the earth with your tailbone slightly lifted. Chaturanga is to bend into your elbows, engage your core and slowly lower. When you come towards the earth from your Ashtangasana, rise into Bhujangasana, Cobra. If you're in Chaturanga Dandasana down to the earth, rise into Urdhva Mukha Shavasana, up dog. Yogi's choice. So this round I'm going to do Ashtanga Asana and the next round I'll do Chaturanga. Exhale, knees, untucked toes, bend into your elbows, chest and chin to the earth in Ashtanga Asana. And then let's rise into Bhujangasana or Urdhva Mukha Shavasana, whichever variation you're taking. And we're all going to meet in Mountain Padmatasana. And here, yes, you've guessed it. If you wish to come into your Mushti Mudra, come into your Mushti Mudra. One full breath here. And now we're going to step forward with the right leg. So remember, your left knee can be on or off the earth as you transition here, because we're either going to come into the knee lifted or the knee lowered. So if you're stepping forward with your right foot, reach back with your right leg and then bring your right foot wide on the mat to help you step forward, and then you can shuffle it into the middle. Stay on the ball of that left foot, or you might have that left knee on the earth. My Mushti Mudra here. And then inhale to rise up. Take a moment here. Tuck in your elbows. And for this sequence, we're going to reach our hands forward. Exhale in, forward, in, 3 times. Bend into that right knee. Reach back through that left heel. Take a moment here. Drop the left heel. Let's come into Warrior One. Virabhadrasana. Arms reach up. Take a moment here. Bend into that knee. From here, we're going to do a little tricky transition back to the top of the mat. So let's bring in our elbows. We're going to cross the right elbow over the left elbow and come into Eagle Arms, Garudasana. So wherever you are now, have your left knee lifted because you're in warrior variation with your foot on the earth. Now this is where you get to choose what you do here. We're going to reach forward into Warrior 3, Virabhadrasana 3. So rotate on the ball of that left foot. Hop that left foot in slightly. And then reach forward. Now you can stay with that ball of the left foot on the earth. You can come onto the toes. Or you can lift that foot. Focus on the earth. Find a spot ahead of you that's not going to move. Crown reaching forward. That left leg extended behind you, either still connected to the earth or lifted, whether low or high, it does not matter. Your leg that's doing the work is the right leg. One more breath here, and then bend into your left foot and bring it alongside your right foot. Come into chair pose here with Garudasana variation. Utkatasana, strong pose with eagle arms. Inhale to rise up. Gentle back bend. And then let's release our arms. Come into prayer. Take a breath here. Satnam Vaheguru. Satnam, Satnam, Satnam Ji. Vaheguru, Vaheguru, Vaheguru Ji. Take a moment. Connect with your power. Remember, the power you're working on is the power that you can offer others. Let's go to the other side now. Inhale, mushti to the sky. Exhale, forward fold. Uttanasana. Take a moment here. Inhale halfway. Fingers can be on the earth. Mushti could be on the earth. Exhale, fold. And then let's step back along with that left leg this time. Now that left knee can be on or off the earth. Yogi's choice. Inhale, rise up into high lunge. Are you ready? We're going to straighten through the right leg and take our Mushti Mudra, our fist of power to the sky, rising here. Exhale, bend into that knee, tuck in the elbows. And let's cycle through this for 3 to 4 rounds, whatever you feel you want to. Remember, if you've got your left knee on the earth, when you reach up with your hands, you sort of come drop out of your hips, and then when you tuck your elbows, sink into your hips. So you're doing this sort of variation. And when you've done your 3 or 4 rounds, let's hold the hands up to the sky. Open out into Warrior 2 Mahavira. So drop the heel now. If you have your knee on the earth, you will need to lift it up to come into your Warrior 2 variation. Draw out your arms, your power fist here. Gaze over towards the right. Sink it into that right knee, feeling strong through your legs. And maybe you need to adjust your pose and take time to do that. And remember, you can always have this variation. If your arms get tired, you tuck in your elbows. Cartwheel your hands to the earth. We're going to step back into our variation of plank. So I've got my Mushti Mudra. I'm in my high plank here. You can have your knees on the earth here. And now if you're going to come into Ashtangasana or Chaturanga, make your choice. And then you use your Bhujangasana, Cobra or Up Dog. So I'm going to Chaturanga on this round. Grip in the earth with my mat, bending into my elbows, engage. Just move back so I don't land with my face in my dog. Literally, it will be Up Dog. Bend into your elbows, lower to the earth, then inhale, rise into Urdhva Mukha Svanasana. Heart reaching forward here, toes untucked. And when you're ready, let's all meet in Mountain Parvatasana. And again, you can come into your Mushti Mudra here. We're going to step forward, and remember the whole time, You can be using your Ujjayi breath, victory breath, that ocean sounding breath. Your throat might begin to feel a little dry, and in that case, just return to your normal breathing. Ujjayi breath is a fiery breath, an energizing breath. So it is using up that fire, is going to burn up some of that moisture that we have. Coming to the front with our left foot. So remember, you can drop your right knee onto the earth or keep it lifted, depending on your choice. And you can always take this left leg wide and then shuffle that left foot in to come into your variation of low lunge here, Chatakasana. Inhale to rise up. Take a moment here. Let's drop that right heel to the earth. Actually, let's arms up to the sky first, and then let's drop that right leg to the earth. Warrior one here. Now let's cross the left elbow over the right. You can have backs of the hands together or right fingertips on left palm. Rotate on the ball of your right foot. And remember, you can hop that in just a little. Reach forward with your crown, engage your core. This is where you stay. You might come onto your toes, or you might lift those toes and venture off the earth. Find a spot on the floor that's not going to move. Crown reaching forward. One breath here, your left leg might be wobbling, and that's okay. Bend into your right knee, step it forward to meet your left, rise up into Utkatasana, strong pose, chair pose, tailbone heading back. Take a moment here. And then let's rise up, gentle back bend. Unwrap your arms, hands to your heart. Satnam Vaheguru. Notice your breath. I can hear my breath. It kind of feels exhilarating. My breath feels exhilarated. Often when we're on we have a focus, a goal. So whether it's the non-violent resistance that we saw in India when the British left, before the British left, non-violent resistance in the US as part of the civil rights movement, or where we see, and we do see, armed resistance, when all other forms of resistance do not achieve change. But most movements are rooted in non-violence because of the power of convincing and persuading people of justice, of seeking empathy. So the farmers' protests in India are a non-violent movement, mostly made up of elderly men and women who can be relieved from farming duties to go and protest on behalf of their families, their villages. Take a moment here. Let's take a turn. So you can come to the center of your mat. We're going to move into tree pose, Dhruvasana pose, before we come down to the earth. So come into your Tadasana, your standing mountain, this place that you feel the strongest. So a little hop sometimes helps us to figure out how far our feet should be. Because people often say, have your feet hip distance. And you're like, well, I don't know where my hips are. But when you jump up and you land on the earth, your feet will naturally find the strongest place of balance. And then you lift your toes and then spread your toes one by one on the earth. Gently roll backwards and forwards, distributing the weight on the feet. And this gentle movement backwards and forwards will help you align with that perfect point of balance. you effortlessly find that spot. Mushti Mudra, tuck in your elbows. This Mushti Mudra for strength, for conscious power, for expression and manifestation of deep frustrations with not being heard, not being seen. This is a peaceful gesture, but there is power behind this. This is a gesture of resistance, of hope that together we will rise, which is why it's often lifted in the air. I often think about one of the most powerful images of this was at the Olympics in Berlin. One more breath here. Now switch the weight into your left leg and peel off the right foot from the earth. Now your variation of tree pose. Right heel on left ankle. Right foot on the left lower leg. Perhaps tucked in against the thigh. And if it's against the thigh, you can again create that force or positional tension. So press the left foot into the right leg and the right thigh against that left foot. Keeping your hands tucked in at the elbows if you are able to balance here with that variation. And now let's raise our arms so that our elbows are bent. Our elbows are parallel with our shoulders. Ujjayi breath here. Reach up towards the sky. Satnam Vaheguru. Sending thoughts of power. I closed my eyes there. So you try closing your eyes and see what happens. Send power. I can't help it. When I'm sending energy, I close my eyes. Try and do it with my eyes open so I can also balance. Sending power and strength and resilience to the communities that you support. Again, elbows bent. And then tuck in the elbows. And then let's release that right foot. Shimmy, shimmy, shimmy. I always like to do a little shimmy. And now let's re-ground in our standing mountain Tadasana. Shift the weight into the right leg. And again, your left foot can be at the right ankle, the right lower leg, can be tucked in. And remember, if you want some extra balance, you can have one of your hands on the wall. Arms halfway. Reach up. Feel the strong connection here. Through your foot on the earth, engage your core, draw in your muscles, hug your bones with your muscles. You don't need to go to the gym to lift weights, just mentally hug your muscles to your bones. Is sending awareness to those muscle groups. Satnam Vaheguru. And then lower down towards the earth. Shimmy, shimmy, shimmy. Take out your legs wide. Turn out your toes. We're going to come down to the earth in Malasana. So have your power fist, your Mushti Mudra. Come through Devyasana. And then Coming down into Malasana. And if you need to bring your fingers to the earth, bring your fingers to the earth. And find your variation of Malasana. So your variation of Malasana, you might want to sit directly on the earth. You might want to place some blocks or a footstool underneath your sit bones. Let's use our elbows on the inside of our knees here, just to create a sense of lift. Namaskar hands here. Not here for long. I'm bringing my Mushti Mudra to the earth. Satnam Vaheguru. Satnam Vaheguru. Satnam Vaheguru. And then let's come down to the earth. Oh, go work these legs. If you're gonna go and march, protest, get involved in uprisings, get involved in grassroots movements for social change, for justice. You need to be strong. Though I tell you what, those elderly farmers, men and women, they're going to be pretty strong. I'll tell you what, an Indian grandmother, she's tough. She's tough. So good luck to Modi and his government. That's all I can say. Let's come down to the earth, rolling through your spine. Take a moment here. Let's bring in your heels so you can brush the back of your heels with your fingertips. Inhaling, begin to tilt your pelvic bowl, lift and peel your spine off the earth and reach overhead with your arms. Oh, and don't forget, if you've got the wall behind you, things might fall on your head. See, this is the beauty of a home practice. If I was teaching yoga in a studio, everything would be so professional. That would never happen to me in a studio. Arms overhead, mountain raises from the sea. Exhaling to lower and bring your hands back alongside your body. Inhale to reach up and over. Exhale to lower your hips and pelvis and arms. Inhale to reach overhead and lift your hips and pelvis. And let's go one more time. This time let's stay up. Let's reach it overhead, see how this feels for you. Chin tucked here. Core engaged, so engage your core, hugging in. Buttocks are engaged. Thigh muscles are hugging in. Imagine you have a block between your knees. And then let's lower down to the earth. Feet come to touch. Allow your knees to fall out. Supta Baddha Konasana, reclined butterfly here. Let's take a moment here now. See how this feels for your lower back. If this feels uncomfortable for your lower back, you can keep your feet, soles of your feet on the earth and allow your knees to drop in towards each other instead. Variation called constructive rest. We'll be here for a few breaths, a few moments. So check that you feel comfortable here. This is our variation of Shavasana for today. When we are called to action, we will experience fear because we know that the forces of government, the forces of power are strong and can show no mercy. We have to gather up, draw in strength from one another, coming into a sense of fearlessness. It's recognizing the fear, drawing that fear and conveying and converting and transforming that energy into power, confidence, and community. And that when we protest, when we march, when we uprise, it is a gesture of compassion, a gesture of communication, a gesture of reaching a hand out to those in power. It is not an attempt to cause disruption that is destructive. It is a disruption to the dynamics of power that are unhealthy. We show, as we gather up this elemental energy, we show humility to the earth, which gives us this energy, to our ancestors from whom we have inherited it. And we show the strength and power as an act of loving generosity to our oppressors, to those in power. Take one full breath here. And with helping hands, if you're in Supta Baddha Konasana, bring in your knees. Let's hug everything into the heart space here and gently roll on the lower back from side to side. We're going to come up into a seat here, so you can do it by rolling over onto your side in sleeping baby and then coming up, or you can roll backwards and forwards in your spine and rock up to a seat. Yogi's choice here. And when you come to your seat, let's bring our hands together at the heart. Power with compassion. Satnam Vaheguru. There's one truth. And that truth we know to be true now, going forward. And that truth is a truth that's rooted in justice, equity, inclusion, representation. That truth is rooted in compassion and mercy and loving generosity and forgiveness. This is the very essence of non-violent resistance. Satyagraha, the movement led by Gandhi, Satya, truth. Take a full breath in, bringing your hands to your eyebrow center. Satnam Vaheguru, Satnam Vaheguru, Satnam Vaheguru. Thank you, yogis. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Take a full breath in. Wash it out through open mouth. 2 more. Rise and fall of the breath. Thank you, yogis. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I have a talk I'm doing today called Resist and Rise on a platform with ABCD Yogi. That's a South Asian platform. And it's at 5 p.m. There's a sliding scale of rates, and 30% will be donated to Khalsa Aid, which is an organization working at grounds root level to support the farmers' protests. So please do check that out.